now, so we can. Okay, so the recording is in progress.
I got it. Yeah.
We can start.
Okay. So, first of all, welcome. I'm Jaime D'Alessandro. I work for La Repubblica. That is a daily national newspaper in Italy. I cover technology for around 25 years. So I will be the moderator tonight. With us there is Eva Toorenent. Is this correct?
Toorenent, yes.
Toorenent. Okay, for Netherlands.
Yes.
And Francesco Archidiacono and Lorenzo Ceccotti. So you are all artists, you work and you concern about what happened in the artificial intelligence field. So before we start with that, I would like to ask to Eva to introduce what exactly is agar, so European Guild for Artificial Intelligence Regulation, and why you start this association, this initiative.
I think that Francesco can take this one better because Francesco and Lorenzo are the one that started it, and I joined at a later date.
Normally, you are the only, you know. We would like to start with you, if you don't mind. Then Francesco and Lorenzo will add their point of view for sure after you.
Okay, well, agar is an organization for artists, creatives from all creative fields, and Lorenzo, Francesco, and other artists, we have assembled a manifesto with points and regulations we want to get passed in the EU to protect users and humans against predatory artificial intelligence companies. And I joined in at the beginning. So I am the advisor of the Netherlands right now. And that entails that I talk with the media and with Dutch people, Dutch politicians, Dutch journalists, and see what I can do in the Netherlands. And we have for a few other countries, we have an advisor role as well. And the more, I'm not sure how to call it, like at overview are from Francesco and Lorenzo, because they started it out. They were one of the 3 founders, I think. So yeah, I think that is it. In the best of my knowledge.
Okay, so Francesco, what is the main goal? To arrive to a regulation. So that means talk with the political side, institutions in Europe, and I suppose also outside Europe. Right?
Yeah. Well, I'd say that the goal in a general sense is to get to solve the problem with data and how data are treated by AI companies, of course. Like AI, generative AI has a lot of different issues and arguments that can be tackled in attempt at having them regulated. We can talk about a lot of stuff, both on the philosophical, creative level and legislative level. agar is born with a precise aim, which is the regulation of the data sets and how these data that are used to train the AIs are gathered from the internet. And and in this way, we want to protect the privacy right and the copyright of creatives, of citizens in Europe and more broadly, in the world in general. This is our aim. To do so, we are working to have AI regulated at a European level. Specifically, we want to ask for changes and integration of the AI Act, which is the big law that the European Parliament is currently discussing and that will regulate everything AI in Europe in the future. The AI Act has been in the works for a couple of years now. They've started working in 2020. And it's about to end is run in the Parliament. So the Parliament will soon approve a sort of final draft that will be sent to the Commission and to the European Council. And after that, the phase called the trilogue will begin, which for anyone not familiar with European political system, the trilogue is this final phase for a law at the European level, in which the Parliament, the Council, and the Commission start talking with each other and figuring out what can be done, what changes can be made. So the AI Act should be ready for the end of 2023. It was supposed to end this parliament run at the beginning of March. We now know that they have postponed it because they wanted to integrate it with generative AIs. And we're trying to work with the parliament and the council and ask them to listen to us, listen to creatives, and help us in defending ourselves and our works.
Okay, so Lorenzo, I suppose that the basic assumption that there is no any new thing in the data set. So in other terms, all these AI can create the things that they created, taking the work from others collecting on the web. So this is the main assumption. It is not an easy task to recognize where the new opera begin and when it's finished, especially on the field of the law. I mean, define these kind of things is a really new frontier. So I suppose that is a really hard work it's not easy, I would say.
Yeah, that's why agar has a very specific take on this whole mess, which is to try to regulate the way data are gathered. Because of course, if you start from the end of the process of generative AI, or looking at images it produces, of course, it may be difficult, okay, to actually take a stance with a clear idea, okay, because everybody, of course, is debating if the image is copied or it's assembled, or while we perfectly know it's a process of two generative AIs that are phasing together to achieve an image starting from noise. But what we are saying is that that whole process is a mechanic transformation of data and that comes from statistical analysis of a data set. Okay, so what we want to say together as a whole is that we think that already from the beginning and not the end of the process, there are so many problems with the data that are gathered that we feel it could be a more down-to-earth approach to solving this issue, so that the scenario at the end will vastly change in so many aspects. Because if you take a generative AI and then you change all the data set, of course you will get a totally different result in the end, okay? And that's why we are trying to set up a very simple manifesto with 5 points, which are all about data, okay? We are not trying, of course, this whole situation about generative AIs as a very huge philosophical and artistic, okay, issue, okay, but we are trying to focus on the other one, which is all about the data and
the input.
Yeah. So
if I may, I remember that Noam Chomsky during the Web Summit in November, he mentioned that it was talking about Chat GPT, but the concept behind it is the same. He said that this kind of instrument or tools, they don't add anything, in the sense, if you give them the wrong data set, they produce wrong things. I mean,
exactly.
Everything depends on the data. So I have a question for you. I noticed that the data set behind these tools are mostly from non-profit companies, not really well known, like Lion, for example.
Lion is pretty well known.
Okay, but the person behind this non-profit association, or the person that collects all the data, the relation between the tool and the data set.
Stability AI and Lion.
Do you understand how does it work? I mean,
well,
who pay? I mean, where they get the money to do that, and the people behind?
Lion is a non-profit, and because they are a non-profit, they can data scrape for research purposes. And that's the reason they are currently able to do that. If that company was a for-profit organization, they would not be able to data scrape in the way they did. But Lion, a non-profit, is getting funded by Stability AI. Stability AI is a for-profit company. And the data set that Lion makes, they make that as a non-profit for research purposes. That data set is used by Stability AI and others. And it's basically a form of data laundering that is happening right now. So the reason they are able to do this right now is due to a legal loophole. And I think with the AI Act and with new laws and regulations put in place, it seems like it already shouldn't have happened, what is currently happening. And I think that our efforts internationally, we can make some real good changes, and we are doing that. We are having contact with people all over the globe to make sure that good laws and regulations are put in place, and that we can work on creating an ethical AI. And I think we will get there if we work together, and we remember that at the end of the day, humans are the most important thing, not the profit of AI companies. So
do you, Francesco or Lorenzo, do you already try to talk with companies behind, I mean, of course, OpenAI, AI, or Stable Diffusion? So do you try to, set a table or a discussion with them?
Well, of course, it would be great to have the chance to talk with them, but right now we are mostly focusing on trying to keep up, with what is happening and trying to set up our action for regulation, because we feel reading all their statements, which are pretty clear, in terms of what their intentions are and what their views about data is. I guess there is no much time to lose, and we started working trying to protect ourselves. Yes. Of course, we'll be more than open to have a conversation with them, but I must say that what I read on the social media from other people, for example, from the Concept Art Association of America, that established some connections on Twitter and other social media with key persons of the AI companies. Well, they really didn't want to go so well, but I'm totally optimistic. You never know. We hope we can one day have a wonderful conversation with them.
Eva, you want to add something?
No.
Okay. Francesco. It's kind of, I add something, if you don't mind. It's kind of strange. I mean, you are facing, there is kind of two fronts, of course, here. I mean, the vision between how the data can be used and how you can be a successful commercial enterprise. So it's clear that you have a counterpart on the other side. And
sorry, I didn't hear that. What did you say?
You have a counterpart. You have another front in front of you. And it's kind of strange that you don't try to talk with them.
We have, like, we're not alone here. Like, I think Carla from the Concept Art Association, she, in the beginning, she said, please be careful with this technology. Don't put it online yet. And I think they did. I'm not sure about that. But at the end of the day, these companies are going to pop up. They are getting more and more and more every day. We're not going to talk with every single one of them. And they are very aware of why we are against this and what we want to see change. And at the end of the day, they care about profit. They didn't care about us. And why should we talk to people who are exploiting us and our work? Why don't we talk with the people who can actually change things? Because they're not going to change on their own.
Yeah, I'd also say that there is a lot of expectations from artists and creatives to apparently reach out to these companies in many ways, not only start talking with them, but also to start to follow the opt-out politics that these companies are trying to follow. And as a creative community, as a movement, I'd say we all believe that the first step should have come from these companies. It's these companies that want to use our work, our data, and they should do the ones to reach out to us, ask us, and also ask us how to do all of these in a polite and clean and ethical way.
They didn't ask anybody.
Yeah,
they didn't ask for our permission for our work. We said it's our work. We should have a seat at the table, and we haven't given one from the beginning. And also, if you look at the side of Stability AI, I think there's not one time mentioned artist on that entire site. Like, this tool is not made for us. This tool is made to replace us in its current form. But I do think ethical AI has a form in the art community in the future. And I'm super excited to see how ethical AI will do that. And I think that this summit is actually a great tool to set those boundaries and say what is all right and what is not all right. But yeah, we should have had a seat at our table if our work is used without our permission. And yeah, they can talk to us, but I don't think they have. But I do not know that. Other people have tried to talk to them. I haven't.
Yeah, we know that they, in particular, speaking in particular of stable AI, again, it's tricky to talk about single companies because this is a bigger problem, and as Eva said, new companies will pop up. So it's tricky to address issues of single companies or single cases of single companies. But speaking of Stability AI, they had their own dense diffusion AI engine that's supposed to work with music. And in their release statement, they had this at this point infamous release statement in which they said that they care for copyright, they wanted to respect copyright, and they also are aware of the overfitting problem, of generative AI, and that's why they had they talked with music artists whose work they wanted to feature in their AI machine, in their data sets to train their AIs. So for some categories, there was from them an approach, an attempt to have a dialogue. For our, there wasn't.
For artists, they were like, the music industry has a very large legal teams to protect the art, like copyright work. And if you're signed with a how you say that? A music company. A record label, they've extended legal teams that protect the copyrighted art of the music from artists. We artists are mostly individuals. Like, we don't have a legal team protecting us. And I think that's also why they felt quite comfortable taking our work without our permission, because
that is one of the main thing about you guys. I mean, you don't have, as you said, I mean, you don't have
like one person.
So I suppose that there is a kind of big work just to make a agar, for example. So you have to convince everyone to be together.
That's why we try to do it. Yeah, exactly, because we need a single voice that can represent all our issues with this problem. Okay.
But so back to sorry, one thing, back to the point you just mentioned. You consider the music industry as a benchmark, so you want to arrive in a situation
no
that.
No, I think that companies were more hesitant in tackling using copyrighted music in their data set because they were afraid of what might happen if they did, like the music industry would go after them. But we artists, we are not a unit. We don't want a Spotify model with this thing, but our rights should be protected, and we shouldn't have to sign our rights away to.
So what is your hope? I mean,
our hope is
you are looking for what exactly? What kind of
regulations and laws?
Regulation. What does it mean exactly?
I think our manifesto answers to that. I think in an easy and simple way. When we worked on the manifesto, what we wanted was not only to tell people that we wanted regulation, but also to offer an idea for an economic model that might work and that might be an alternative to a Spotify model that wouldn't benefit anyone. Our hope is that and what we are asking to the institutions, to every politician we talk with, is for AI companies to have to ask consent for each image, file, audio, video, anything they want to use to train their data, to ask consent and license those images. This, in the same way, it's done for in the rest of the world, for the rest of the market. So we want to have the copyright protection extended and to become something else, what we call training rights, that will also cover the problem with images that may not fall into the copyright protection, but are covered by privacy rights, such as the use of personal pictures. So yeah, we want companies to ask consent for every file they want to use, because we don't see the use of these files to train AIs as fair use. It's a copyright and privacy infringement, and it should be regulated just as it's done for everything else. If I want to write, at least in Italy, but I assume it's for at least in the whole Europe. If I want to write a book about art and I want to feature images of paintings or sculptures, I have to ask permission for each one of those images.
So I suppose that you don't know. It's pretty clear that if there is an AI able to produce, I don't know, an image in a cubist style, well, there should be all the cubists over there somewhere. So my point is, you look inside the data set. Of course, they're huge, but I would say on the broader sense that what you are saying is true also for non-artists.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, Chat GPT maybe is
Lion 5B,
my things, and maybe something that they publish online. So maybe it's broader than just.
It is, yes. We are talking. That's why we are talking with all sorts of creative. For example, we have recently had the official support and endorsement of the Italian Association of Voice Actors, because this is something that will affect, and it's affecting already voice actors. We are talking with European associations of writers, of songwriters, yeah, because this affects everyone.
And actors as well.
Field, yeah, sorry.
Actors as well.
Actors,
Yeah.
and again, it's people on the creative field whose work is being used, but also people in general whose images might end up in these data sets, yeah, because the bot online scraped something somewhere, and yeah, pictures ended up there, yeah, without any formal control. We also believe that, I mean, this is a more general problem with AI. Yeah, it's the importance of having data sets regulated and transparent and open. We have to know what's inside these data sets for all sorts of AI, not only generative AIs, yeah, because the AI used these data sets has the same biases that these data sets have. And this means that us, the final users, might be influenced by those biases without even knowing they are there. There was recently a very good episode of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, yeah, if you can find it on YouTube, and to talk about this problem. And there was, for example, the problem with the self-driving cars they feature AI systems that are trained on data sets of people to recognize people in the middle of, if there is someone in the middle of the street, so they can stop. And they found out that for some of these AIs had issues in recognizing people of color, because those people weren't featured in the data sets, because those data sets were biased by someone else. So we need to have clean data sets, open data sets, and so that we can figure out if they are biased in some way and if it's affecting us, because it's dangerous. Like, it's something that can and will affect all sorts of communication on all level of society, that will affect works in many ways.
High risk.
Yeah, it's high risk, and we have to know where these effects come from.
Lorenzo, you want to add something?
Yeah, just wanted to say that Lion 5B, it can be searched online with a very simple web tool. I think it works on a small percentage of the images because it's so huge. They managed to, Yeah, so you can
It's not
search.
even all there.
Yeah, and basically you can see that's plenty of our work in there. So we totally looked into that to
Yeah,
see
you
what.
can search which
Yeah.
images are in there from you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
search by name or by specific image.
Yeah, exactly.
So people know that their work is in there. It's not a question if.
Yes, exactly. So that's the first thing. So in the end, what we are asking is pretty simple because they need to ask consent. Then the scenario are mostly three that we hope for. One where we say, okay, take the data, no problem, because I'm okay with it. Or I'm not okay with it, so you can take it in any way, or you can take it, but we should make a deal. Okay, so, and it could be a deal that has a time frame, okay, like for 3 months you can use that, or maybe it's for a specific country or application, or for a specific media delivery. So this is the hopeful, okay, hopefully this will be the result if our manifesto finds its place in the AI Act.
So basically, there is two things to change. First of all, the use of data, data set for research that is behind these tools that clearly they use it in a very different way, in a commercial way, of course. So this is the first part. The second part is to arrive in a situation where all this company ask to everyone for each piece of content the permission to use it. It's a very beautiful landscape, I would say. It's not easy to reach it. I mean,
Yeah, then they shouldn't have done it in the first place.
yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
You have public domain images you could use. You have royalty-free images you could use. There is a ton of it. And people could opt in. Like the excuse that it's too difficult to do is not really a good excuse. They shouldn't have done it in the first place. It's not their work. They don't decide what happens with it. Yeah, sorry, that's it.
Yeah, it's
No,
not
well,
like that.
well, I can
because,
say the same thing about the visual recognition tools from Amazon. I mean, they trained clearly on us, and they never asked anything. So
that's not
That's not okay.
That's not okay
no,
as
no,
well.
no. I'm not saying that is okay. Of course.
It's not like if it's already happening, why should
Yeah.
we do anything? That's a bad way to
No,
look at
it's
things.
for sure inevitabilism. The idea that the things have to continue as we saw in the past is completely wrong. Just say it's difficult to set.
But Jaime, can I, if I
of
may
course.
bring you an example to the table, there is a company called Kioxia from Japan that made a manga for Tetsuka 2020 celebration that's called Faedo, and it's a manga that's done with AI, and it's totally trained on data that was disclosed voluntarily by the Tetsuka Foundation, and for a specific means of achieving that manga printed book, okay? And then the data was destroyed, okay? That's a pretty excellent, okay, use of AI with the consent of the respective owners for a specific task on a specific time frame and country of delivery. So it's totally possible. It's not that it's not possible. There are plenty of examples of the really good use of this technology.
There are
These
also
companies are just doing it wrong. Okay.
there are
That's
also
it.
a lot of examples of very talented AI developers that, for example, made a story with AI. They put all the data in and they created an artwork from that, and they created their own AI with the technology, and they were very creative with it. And I think that's such a shame that so many talented developers and talented people now have like a bad name attached to them, because what's currently happened with the companies is it's not okay. But there are a lot of people in AI that know that what now is happening is wrong, and we should not forget that AI is not a bad word. We don't think AI is bad. We just find this particular practice not good. Like,
yeah, I'm doing generative artwork since the 90s, so I'm pretty into that stuff. I really love that. Okay, but it should be done properly, like working with your own rules, your software, your data sets. Okay, of course, you can then blend the things. So maybe you can use a third-party software, but it's very important that you have the rights on the data that you are using. Okay, it's very important.
Don't use what isn't yours.
Francesco, what is the next step? I mean, what is your idea how do you want to play the next step?
I'd say we are already in the next step in a way. Like the next step has been going on for us for a couple of months at this point, and it's talking with mainly rapporteurs working on the AI Act. So the people that are currently working on it at the parliament level. As I said before, the AI Act is still in its parliamentary stage. So we are meeting with them, we are talking with them and explaining them our positions. And again, and that's why agar was born. As I don't know if I've said it before, but yeah, originally we started working from Italy. Lorenzo and me, I'm from an association called MEFU, which is sort of the Italian Union of Comic Book Creators. So we started working from Italy on an Italian level, but we soon realized that, again, this is a global problem, and it's a European problem for us right now. It's something that we have to tackle on a European level, which means talking with a lot of politicians from different countries, obviously, and make sure that, and what we wanted to be sure of is that the European front would present itself to the institutions as united as possible. So yeah, we founded agar to have sort of a platform that could provide everyone with the same resources for everyone interested in fighting for this, and at the same time coordinating the works. So we know that if we have to talk with I don't know, a French rapporteur from France, a French rapporteur, we have a member of our team who's from France, and that team member can speak with us to that rapporteur. So the rapporteur sees a French citizen and hears a French voice as well. It's not just the Italians arriving from nowhere. Pizza mandolino.
Spaghetti.
So our next step is mainly keep talking with politicians and take advantage of the fact that they realize that these are possibly high risk applications that needs to be featured in the AI Act. So it's a good moment for us.
Yeah. It's also important to keep talking with your friends, family, your personal circle, because a lot of people in the general public don't know how dangerous this is. Like, it's awful for artists. But it's also very dangerous for the general public. And by informing your friends and family, or just doing a little bit of activism, if you have a platform, it can make a huge change. So in the Netherlands, I kind of ignored it because I didn't saw that any AI things were happening in the Netherlands. And then something happened in the Netherlands, which I'm not very happy about. And then I started informing people in Dutch, in my own language. I started talking to reporters in Dutch, my own language, and now there's a lot more awareness in my country about this. It still needs a lot to go, but people, if you just explain to people calm and with nuance what the problem is, what the issue is, and how we can change it, a lot of people are very open to it. And we should not forget that this is not just for creatives or artists. This is dangerous for everybody if we do not make laws and regulations to make this thing safe. That's the most important thing, to make it safe for humans to use it and to protect humans in the process. And I think that agar is doing that excellently, and have a place where you can find all the resources and to see our common goal, because we have set the manifesto is written with a ton of artists checking it, rewriting it. This is not done by two people, this is done by a collective, and we want to show that. So I think agar is a perfect place to find all the information regarding this.
Yeah. So, on that note, oh, sorry.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, that's not an important step. Eva is perfectly right. We are also working on making more content to inform the people about this. Not only of exactly the dangers, but also of how these machines work on a technical level. We realized that not only people that are pro AI, quote unquote, because of course AI, it's not a problem, the problem are the companies.
Yeah.
Okay? Not only people that are pro AIs, but also people that are on our same side often don't really have a clear idea of how these machines work. So in the general debate on the internet, sometimes it's easy to find people that are have really good intentions. Sorry.
May I ask you something?
Go.
So we live in Europe, that is clearly the most advanced area for regulation on the digital, not only digital, but on the digital space. I'm not saying that is enough. I'm just saying that we are the most advanced right now. Do you find easy to communicate with the political interface in the sense of they know enough on the technical side to understand what happened or not?
Yes, at least for in our experience, it has been really easy so far. And to be honest, we weren't really expecting it at
Yeah,
first.
We were very surprised.
Yes, yes. We've also talked with politicians in the Italian government as well, because of course we're trying to work with the Italian government to reach the European Council for the next stage of the AI Act. And all the people we talked with are perfectly aware of the problem. They see it as a problem, which was really refreshing, because it's really after months of debate on the internet and having to listen to people that just dismiss everything as artists complaining. It was really refreshing to hear from a politician or from someone that works at a high technical level, to hear that those people say, "Oh yes, no, this is a problem. This is a problem." In some cases, we found out that some of these politicians were aware of this of the potential problem of these machines. They had been aware of it for years. Of course, it was difficult to work on a similar scenario like 2 years ago for some of them, because it would have been sci-fi for everyone else.
It still is.
It still is often, but yeah, no. Surprisingly, it's been easy for us. We know that it's not the same for all European countries. Of course, agar has a wide network, so we are working on many levels, and sometimes we hear people that are tried to reach out to their government and that found like people not really on the same, the same level as us.
I had it in the beginning in the Netherlands that I contacted a company that is for the copyright of artists. And I tried to explain this is a problem, and they're like, well, there's not much you can do about it. And then I was like, what? we got to do something. And then I got in contact with the Concept Art Association. Then I got in contact with Mayfu. Then I got in contact with international artists fighting this. And in the Netherlands, we actually, the government is actually doing quite well on this. They see that this is a problem, and they said we have to the most important thing around this is keeping human rights in check. Like, make sure that AI keeps in mind the human rights, and it's high risk, so we have to make a risk analysis, and after that we can decide what the regulations will be in the AI Act, or if we can vote on it. If I'm saying that correctly. I'm not a lawyer, but yeah, it's good.
I'd also say that the longer we go on, the more it's easier for politicians to realize the problems with these technologies, because these technologies have problems. Like it's not a matter of of opinions.
Not a matter.
There are objective problems with these technologies that, again, don't necessarily involve only artists. There are bigger systemic problems, and so it's also getting probably easier to speak with these politicians, because it's
affecting everybody.
Yeah, it's affecting everybody.
Yeah,
and it is clear that something that needs to be regulated.
If I may add a little thing, like even because when we started, especially from the Concept Art Associations and us, we started trying to complain about the issues. Everybody was saying, "Oh, they're just artists." Okay, okay. Now we have companies like Getty Images, okay, that are suing AI companies. So it's pretty clear that whoever wants to start an AI business needs to be aware that it's a tricky business right now because there's no rules. Okay, so there are no rules.
The Wild West.
Yeah, the no rules situation, of course, looks something that it's pretty interesting because you don't have any rules. Okay, so you can do whatever you want apparently, but then you may may step on some giant's foot, and then you may encounter big
Getty
problems.
Images.
So what we think is that the first country that will regulate will be the first country to have a proper industry and business that can prosper. Okay, can actually prosper without this kind of issues, you know. So of course, right now the main problem with politicians we encountered is that they are scared that that regulating too much will take put a break exactly on economy and technology and evolution. But in the end, what is happening right now under our very eyes is that not regulating is bringing this whole thing to clash, okay, of interests, which should be avoided. We should be in harmony together, working together for to prosper together. Like if you take print, for example, when print first was born, like everybody could print whatever they wanted, okay, because there was no copyright, okay. But right now that we have copyright, we can't say that print died, right? Like print is pretty happily growing as a technology and media. So we should go this direction so everybody can make business together and be happy. Okay. So basically
AI is cool, and if it's done correctly, like my best friend it does a master in AI, and it's insane what they are doing. We are not against AI, and I think if done correctly, it would be super cool to see what it can do. But we can start off on the wrong foot because it's happening right now.
What is your opinion, aside from maybe from Francesco, what happened on the other side of this? I mean, in United States, there is over there few sentences around the creation made by artificial intelligence.
The class action lawsuit?
Yeah. What happened over there? And you are in contact with them. There is kind of common front, of course.
Yeah.
So
the thing is with the class action lawsuit in America, at first I know a little bit more about American law, unfortunately. But in America, if you make a class action lawsuit, you can set a precedent and then you can change laws. But in Europe, it doesn't quite work that way. So that's not the route we are taking, because otherwise we also would probably have a class action lawsuit right now. But what is happening right there is very good. Like I can see that what happens in America influence Europe quite heavily. And I think that if we all work together as a global community, because we have people in Japan, we have people in Europe, we have people everywhere. Like this is in the common interest of humanity, and every class action lawsuit or things that moves us in a better direction is good for us all. So
like in the UK recently, law was stopped, okay, by the parliament because it was about
commercializing data.
Commercial licensing for AI images, and they actually made it stop. So, and it's all done by activists that talk with politicians to achieve that result. So, and it's something that it's happening slowly everywhere. So we are trying to make it as global as possible, trying to use the better as we can the different law platforms of these countries, because in Europe it's more about regulation rather than lawsuits, right?
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
And the importance of this shouldn't be underestimated. The fact that there is currently this global network of creatives working together. We said that before. I know it personally because working with create union for creative people teaches you how difficult it is to put creative people together and and have them work together toward the same goal, because often people have very different goals, and because we are all freelancers that enjoy drawing or create on our own in our rooms in the dark.
Yeah, and I want to get back to the drawing table.
Everybody does.
It's cool to fight for our rights, but I want to get back to drawing as well.
Yes, this is against our nature, but the fact that we are able to do that, that all of us are working together, it is something that's kind of miraculous in a way. We don't talk about that enough.
Yeah, it's insane to see. would have never expected us to come together in the way we did, and how supportive and kind people are. Because somebody asked me, what is the worst comment you got? And I was like, everybody has been so supportive and nice. And if you just talk with people, like also people that don't get your opinion, still people try to understand, and people are open for conversation, and we should keep having that with artists, but also people from different industries. And it's just amazing to see how we have all come together, and I think that is something that is worth an applause.
Well, I suppose that the countries, European countries, where this kind of initiative are more strong or more supported, should be maybe France, Italy. I mean, all the country with a very big tradition comics, correct?
Yes, but again, also Netherlands. We have a lot of people from Germany, for example. Also, and it's important because Lion 5B is Germany. It's a German company.
Yeah.
With people from Romania, with people from northern countries.
And what about the companies that? I was thinking about. Did Marvel say something about that? Or
companies are waiting to see in which way the wind blows. Some companies have spoken out, which we are very happy with, but most are currently being quiet because it's kind of murky.
There have been some of them have been taking their steps. For example, we have some Italian publishers backing us with our manifesto, which was good for us. In France, I think one of Hachette's labels banned the use of generative AI at least for a year, because they want to see where it goes and want to check it. In the US, there are some companies, and mainly I think some comic book publishers, and also some game companies that release a statement saying that they would ban AIs. Some big editors in the US even said that if they receive a portfolio with AI images, they would make sure that the person who sent the portfolio would not work in the field anymore, which was
maybe is a little bit extreme, I would say.
Yeah, probably yes, but just that to say that some companies have taken steps. There are also companies that have done the opposite. We've seen them in Europe, we've seen them in Italy.
There's a lot of money to be made in AI, and I think that a lot of companies want a piece of the pie. And you have to be quick.
But also it's also probably the hype train. For example, in January, Mulino Bianco released a couple of Instagram posts using AI to produce images of pancakes, of all things.
Yeah, of course, that can be, I don't know, but there is always a hype on technology. So now we have to see if this kind of hype can continue, especially on the marketing side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in those cases, usually there was all, like I spoke personally with the marketing director who okayed that, and they were pretty clear that it was a test for them, and it was obvious that it was just because it was the talk of the moment. It's new technology. We want to try and see how it goes in good faith. I'm sure of that.
Most of people who started using it, that's also, if you have used it to see how it works, that's not on you. If you now know what the problems are with it, then that's a little bit more questionable.
Yeah, we should make. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You should make them realize that, and it's a slow process, because words in this old AI thing are our worst enemy, because like words like intelligence, learning, that kind of imitation, they're all wrong, okay, in terms of technical, okay, what's technically happening, okay?
Yeah.
And I feel that we should slowly try to make these people realize that they are hyping not on the technology, but on the data. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So and what we are trying to do, like even with Molino Bianco, Francesco did a great job writing to the creative director there. Basically, he explained them that what they were exploiting was not a new technological possibility, but was the artist's work. Okay,
Yeah.
that's not exactly the same thing. Okay, it's nowhere near, okay, the same thing.
I agree.
You plan to open to the public, I mean, general public, to sign your manifesto and to fight also for the normal content. I mean, you mentioned at the beginning, the problem is not only about art, it's about everything, basically.
Yeah. If you post a picture on Facebook, for example, you don't want that to be in the data set. There is a very big chance there's not a big chance, a very small chance that overfitting happens and you can see your face. They did a very good study about that. Do you know what I'm talking about, Francisco?
Yeah, actually,
Lorenzo.
the opportunity of having the possibility to have overfitting depends on the statistical weight of that specific picture. So if you are the Afghan girl of the famous picture, you have a great
yeah, you have a greater chance to be
overfitting, big overfitting. So yeah, so.
But if you post 1 million pictures of yourself on Facebook,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't want that to be in there. Or, for example, you have pictures of a loved one that has passed away. You don't want that to be in a data set.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
It's your data. You should have a say in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the point is there is a seed over there to be more, more broadly accepted. This is your position.
Yeah.
That means that you have to maybe open to all the contexts. In this way, the people can understand and feel that you are on the same
Side of the human.
But the agar manifesto is already open to all that kind of data. It's very
so you
stated.
receive already
Yeah, it's open. You can sign it. You can look at it.
Yes,
You can
please
frame
go
it.
look at it, and also please donate and help us. There is
Yes.
an hour that help us because we need money to keep doing this.
Yeah.
To pay Vera.
to pay our lobbying agents, not for us. It's for our
No,
lobbying.
If I
Yeah. But remember, the manifesto starts exactly with that. I mean, to start a lobbying campaign in Brussels, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. Which is
it's actually a lobbying campaign that works in two directions. One is in every single country of the European Union, and then on the European Union itself, so the European Parliament. So basically, we are trying to set up different actions for each country, and then directly for the AI Act. So we totally need help for every country in the European Union. We need activists to work with us as much as they can. We need you signing the manifesto. Please sign it. It's very important.
Yes.
So we can put your name on the list if you're an important artist, or you work in creativity, or you have a company that works in creativity and wants to support us. Please sign the manifesto, and if you can, please consider donate some money from to our GoFundMe campaign that it's on our website on agar.
Yeah, that's from MEFU.
www.egair.eu.
Thank you.
Agar.eu. Yes, please help us. We need help. It's been going great, which is surprising for us.
Yeah.
Because we started as small Italian associations, and even now we are bigger. We have a big network, but it's still we are artists. It's difficult to raise money from the community because there aren't much money in the community to begin with. So it's been going great, but we need more help because we need to pay our our
Yeah,
lobby.
of course, everybody here doesn't take 1 cent from all this operation. All this money goes to copyright, international rights expert and lobbying experts that are helping us to coordinate all this operation and taking care of the technical side of the law writing and proposals.
Yeah, you can read that on the GoFundMe as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you find the link to the GoFundMe on the website as well with the link to sign the manifesto.
Yeah.
And if you have any question, you can write us. There's a form on the website as well. There are also our individual emails. You can find them in the team page. And if you are an artist or creative and you have at least some form of connections in your country, and your country is not represented in our team page, write us, and if you want to help us, we are happy to have your help. We can sorry, just because we have received a lot of emails from people wanting to help. Of course, some of them were from countries that have already representatives, and so we don't need you, but thank you so much for your availability. And some others were from students, for example, and such. And we are really happy that we have like students and aspiring artists and creatives writing us and reaching out to us. But at this stage, we need more affirmed artists that can help us reach their communities and media and publishers in their country and companies and so on.
Talk to your friends, family, art academies. There are currently a few art academies that are teaching this current technology to their students. Speak out against your teachers, tell them why it's unethical, send them to the agar website, and let's do activism. How small you can do it, just do it. I started very small. I started completely alone. Nobody was going to help me. And then I got in contact with an amazing network of super talented people. And I would have never dreamed of that happening if I stayed in my room and just be sad. So go out there, speak out, and inform your friends and family. That's the most important thing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Lorenzo, you want to add the final things?
I think that time is running out. I guess we should just say goodbye.
Okay, so thank you, Eva, Francesco, and Lorenzo. Thank you for your time. Thank you all for participating.
Yeah,
it was really interesting, and of course, good luck with your.
Thank you, Jaime, and thank you for for moderating this panel. And
thank everybody for watching.
And thanks to all the associations who organized these: Concept Art Association, Society of Illustrators, National Cartoonists, and like a couple of more that I don't remember. Sorry, but thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
We love you.
I'll stop the recording and end the meeting. Bye, everyone.
Okay, have a good night. Good morning.
Have a good night.